Let's listen in.
The key officials of SADC here, Deputy Executive Secretary and others who head the various departments here. It's a real joy and a pleasure to be here at the headquarters of SADC, which represents 16 nations in Southern Africa. I've looked forward to coming to the headquarters of SADC for a very long time. And I'm really pleased, Dr. Tex, that you finally allowed me and given me this rare privilege of coming to this. I've longed to have this opportunity to come to this place. And finally, now that I'm chairperson of SADC, I've now been given this rare, very rare opportunity. And on top of that, I was also given a badge of honor. Now that I'm chairperson of SADC, they gave me a badge of honor and opened the doors for me to come through into this hallowed building that is the epicenter of SADC, representing 16 nations in Southern Africa. So I'm overjoyed. I'm really pleased. Much as this is a courtesy visit, you just don't know what it means to me. I'm in heaven. Now, SADC is a very important structure that was set up by our forebears to bring together a number of countries in Southern Africa, and now they've grown to 16, with the latest having been admitted, which is the Comores. And this structure is an important structure because it exists to represent the interests of millions of people in Southern Africa, to represent their interests in extending the process of development. And this we do through ensuring that there is peace and stability in our region, and also to have regional integration for the sole purpose of extending the economic development in the region to improve the lives of the people who live in Southern Africa. Now, Dr. Tex and a number of officials who work here are doing a very important job of making sure that the SADC office works well, making sure that the agreements that are made by the SADC summits and the various structures of SADC are actually implemented. So this is a very important office. It's a very important job that they do. I have been involved on a visit to a number of countries now that I have become chairperson of SADC. I visited Angola to go and see President Lorenzo, who is the chair of the organ, and we had really good, extensive discussions on issues of peace and security in our region. We discussed Lesotho, we also discussed the DRC, and also discussed Madagascar. And I was most pleased with the work that the chair of the organ is doing in dealing with the issues of peace and security in the DRC as well as in Lesotho. And after that I visited Namibia, and now, yesterday that is, and today now we are here in Botswana. Beyond this, we will visit other countries in the region so that we can also brief them about the work that we are doing. So it's a real pleasure to be here, and what we are about is to consolidate the gains that we have made and look forward to what still needs to be done to enhance regional integration, but particularly to ensure that there is economic development in our region, the type of development that is going to improve the lives of our people, particularly in these very trying economic times when the economies of the countries in our region are not growing at the level where we want them to grow, where through regional integration we should try and find ways of boosting economic development and economic growth as well, of finding ways in which our tourism can grow to greater levels, and through which we can bring many tourists around the world to our region, because our region has a great deal to offer to the world. And it is pleasing to see that with regard to tourism, we are growing at a level that is really appreciable in all the countries in the region. We also need to focus on how we continue to utilize our natural resources, particularly in mining and conservation, and how we can continue to grow these areas of the sectors of our economy. Industrialization remains an important area that we want to concentrate on, to open up channels of growth in the industrialization and manufacturing area of economic growth. So these are areas that SADC is focusing on, and as chairperson of SADC, there are areas that I will be placing a lot of emphasis on, so that the countries in the region can accede to greater economic growth. So being here at the headquarters of SADC gives us a great deal of inspiration, because the collection of people who are here from various countries in the region, people who are working to help the development of the region, they are committed, and they can clearly give us a lot of inspiration to show that we can move forward. So I want to thank you all of you who work for SADC from various countries. I'd like you to know, as chairperson of SADC, that we thank you. Your work is noticed. You must never think that your work is never noticed. We notice your work. You are making a really good contribution to the growth of SADC, to the development of SADC. So we thank you one and all, and we say to you, continue with the wonderful work that you are doing, because through your work we will be able to reach higher levels of development, higher levels of growth. And as we meet you at various summits, we will know the faces, the eyes, the minds of the people who are actually making the contribution in the documents that are always presented to us. So I look forward to coming back, to sitting down with you and listening, as Dr. Tex has said, listening to the actual reports, the progress reports of the work that you are doing in the various areas of work where you have been deployed. And with those words, thank you very much. Continue with the wonderful work that you do. This having been a courtesy call, we will come back for more extensive discussions with all of you. And thank you very much for receiving us so warmly. The red carpet that you laid out was warm indeed, and it led us into this building in a most appreciable way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you for those inspiration words, and thank you for motivating us as staff of the Secretariat. His Excellency has probably answered most of the questions
All right.
the media may have.
Those are live visuals straight from Gaborone out in Botswana, where South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has just briefed the media on the conclusion of his very first foreign trip as the President of the Republic. He was, however, there in his capacity as the chair of SADC, and talks on peace, security, migration, among others, took place in Namibia as well as Angola. And of course, today he's just wrapped up in Botswana. He said this is the time to looking at ways to developing our economies, ways to grow our tourism sectors, since we do have a great deal to offer to the world in this regard, and also open and speed up industrialization among the region. He also thanked the various contributors that develop and grow our economies. Let's go back there and listen to the Q&A and find out what the journalists there are asking him now.
And what can you say came out of it? But I think more specifically to Botswana, we saw you spend sleepless nights on transition in South Africa. Are you going to take a leaf out of the Botswana page, or a page out of the Botswana book, in terms of how transition is handled, looking at what you saw today and how you felt in the office of the presidency as they're going through their own transition?
What is the half question? You said 2.5 in Takwan. Okay. No, I'm on a trip through a number of countries in Southern Africa. Clearly, there are 16 countries and we will not be able to cover all of them. And we've chosen the countries that are near South Africa, but those others that I have not been able to visit, we will be visiting them in time to come. We decided on going to Angola to go and visit President of Angola, because he is the chair of the organ on peace and security. So as chairperson of SADC, it is correct and proper that as I have assumed this position, I should go and meet the chairperson of the organ of peace and security and be briefed about the work that he has been doing. And Namibia and Botswana are neighboring countries, very close to Angola where I was. And after this, we're going to go and visit 3 or 4 other countries in Southern Africa in another week or 2. So it's really just a courtesy call on my part, particularly after being elected President of South Africa and also assuming the position of chairperson of SADC. And this is the done thing. And really it is courtesy, but as well as to renew the bonds of friendship, the bonds of solidarity, and the bonds of connectedness amongst us as countries that have a lot to do with each other. And in time we will be meeting the other presidents and leaders and heads of government and state of the various other countries, and those will happen in other summits, in other meetings as time goes on. So this was an introductory occasion, presentation of myself, as well as a courtesy call. And having come to Botswana, and one is filled with great admiration of how the Botswana have been able to navigate their way around transition. It's most admirable. But let us also know that all of us come from 16 countries in SADC, and all of us have different constitutions, different conventions, different traditions, different histories, different experiences. And the best we can do, of course, is to learn from each other. We can observe admiringly what others are doing and learn as we move on. So Botswana has done things extremely well. So have we in South Africa, by the way, as we have navigated our way around the transition. And so have many other countries. And each country has its own way of doing things, of solving its problems, And the pleasing thing is that in Southern Africa, most of the countries in Southern Africa have political stability, have governance stability, and through that we've been able to lay a very good foundation for the development of our countries, to lay a good foundation for economic development, which can be in the interests of our people as a whole. So Southern Africa is at peace with itself, and that is something that we should applaud and be pleased about. And Southern Africa continues to lay out or to come up with really good solutions to the various problems that it faces from time to time. And long may it last, because it is a good road that we have embarked upon here in Southern Africa collectively and together. Thank you very much, Takwa.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We've come to the end of this session. I now invite His Excellency and the visiting ministers, the SADC management and the ambassadors present here.
All right, that is all happening in Gaborone in Botswana. President Cyril Ramaphosa, the South African president, just merely telling the journalists and all those that are gathered there that the purpose of this trip was basically to introduce himself as a newly elected president of the country, ultimately making him the chairperson of SADC. And he says this was just basically a courtesy call and also a trip to renewing bonds and showing their solidarity, as well as renewing their friendships with the other counterparts. He also mentioned that there will be other trips that will be taking place around the continent. So we'll be letting you know about all the dealings and, of course, that all the places that the president will be visiting right here on SABC News. You better stay tuned right now.